Okay, we should be back here. Just testing out the chat to see if Stream Elements is in here. That is, we should be connected here. Okay, cool. Awesome. So now that I've explained basically every column in a journal here, we're gonna go on to filling this journal out. Okay, once you guys, again, let's go and do TradingView first off all. So I'm gonna fill from, I'm gonna continue off where I guess I stopped in March. Let's see. Yeah, I think I stopped journaling in here in March. So yeah, we'll continue off in March, from March here, date wise. By the way, for this journal, it supports up to 1,500 basically. After that, I'd really recommend you make another copy. This should definitely last like a year, depending on how many trades you take. Like with my average 114, I mean, I'll take about almost 1,500 trades in a year, which is quite a good amount. So I'll have like a new year copy for every year if I was still journaling. So like that's fine. You just rename your journal 2027, 2028, if you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? So that's not a problem here. You have plenty of columns here. Now let's show you exactly how I would journal each trade here. So let's start from the beginning of the week. Let's go to TradingView first of all. All right, we're in TradingView now. So the first thing you want to do always is get the link to your trade. So let me see which one was my first trade. Since let's see, that I still have up here that I can show you guys as a journal entry example. Okay, first trade was here. Let me delete this. 25th. How far back was gold? 24th. Okay, we'll start with gold because 24th. All right, let's go in. I don't think we need to go in replay mode. We should be able to get back here. Yeah, it's not that far. So on gold. Like this is how I journal this trade with my strategy. Okay, cool. All you have to do for screenshot purposes, literally just, actually I do have to go back in replay mode here. And the reason why is because my daily bias indicator is going to change biases. It gives you a new daily bias for every single day, which is very nice. So yeah, let's see if it was bullish on this day. I don't remember. Was it just bearish? Here, let's see. Daily. Yeah, I think it was bearish. I'm pretty sure. Unless this went to the next day. Hold on. Oh, right. I keep forgetting the daily candle changes. It prints a new daily candle at spread hour at 6. So even though it's not technically within the same day, the new daily candle forms at 6. Let me double check this. I'm pretty sure it does. If you guys know the answer to that, let me know as soon as possible right now. So some people get this kind of confused, but yeah, okay. Based on what I looked up, yeah. The daily candle closes at market close before basically at spread hour. So after, basically before and after spread hour is when the daily candle will form and close. That's when my daily bias will print. So this is the accurate daily bias I would be seeing at the time of the trade. So yeah, this is fine. So this is my daily bias here. Now for me, I'm gonna go in indicators real quick. When I take my screenshots, I tend to like to clear up my chart a bit, especially if there's a lot of indicators. I'm gonna disable PY, disable IFVG, enable daily bias, kill zone, we'll disable kill zone. Structure marking, you see that did mark the liquidity sweep there for me, which is nice. So I'll enable my structure marking here. Watermark, we can leave that, doesn't matter. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, to make it as clean as possible on your screenshots, I'd probably try to eliminate as much mess as possible indicator wise. Indicator again is helpful when you live trade, but there's no huge point of it when you're taking a screenshot of your trade, unless obviously daily bias would be useful, because we're going to be keeping track of that. So this is my trade here. Now what am I going to do for the screenshot? I'm not going to take a picture, I'm going to take a link. Do Alt S on your keyboard. You see where it says how it says link to the image, now copy to clipboard. If you go to the top right here, you can even hit copy link here if you don't want to manually hit Alt S. You're gonna do this for every single trade. Okay, repeat the procedure I just did. Now let's go back to the journal. Now that we have the trade. So now that we have this trade here, putting this into your journal is very straightforward. Copy the link here. I don't know why it came out bold. Hold on, let me fix that real quick. This is easy to fix. Let me just. Okay, now I don't know if it's bold or not right now. Let's see. Yeah, it's not bold anymore. Cool. Yeah, so copy the link and put it here. You see how I have the link here? And once you click on this, if you click on the blue link, it will send you straight to the chart. It's better than having a massive ad image on your journal. Now, the trade was an 11 RR trade. So what I'm gonna do, 11 restored. Look, auto changes W. Don't mess with the formulas, guys, or you're gonna mess up this journal and all the other formulas here. Trust. Now, what's the date here? So the date of this trade was November 24th. So I'm gonna put November 24th here. It was this inside or outside kill zone. This was outside at 1 p.m. So I'm gonna put outside kill zone. This was New York session. I use the specific kill zones I teach in terms of timings for the course members. So use what timings you will use for your trading, but I choose my timings based on volatility and liquidity and volume. So this would be me. And then you would then pick New York. You put gold. XAUSD is gold, by the way, for those that don't know. I could rename this, honestly. I think. Let's see if it's gonna mess up the stuff here. It might mess up the... okay, yeah, it does. Alright. We'll keep it like that. Again, if you're trading futures, obviously put GC, right? It doesn't make sense, but XAUSD. Setup type. This is where you put OB, because this was my OB entry model. PY type, what PY was this off of? This was off a liquidity sweep into a PY. So if it's a liquidity sweep into PY, I just put liquidity sweep to simplify it. Internal trend at the time of my entry was counter. We didn't make, I have to change this. I have to fix this formula here. It's saying inside here as well. Give me a second. While I still remember, let me fix this. Okay, no. Drop down. Yeah, it should be just pro and counter. That's weird. Not sure why it says inside here. Huh. Funky. It's not a big deal. Like, this is not a make or break kind of thing. I think I know why. There's probably another formula that's Yeah, I think there's another H formula somewhere here. Is it this? It might be this. Um, yeah, that rule made no sense. I don't know what that was. Okay, never mind. Just delete everything. I'll figure that out later. Not sure what's going on there. And then I think a lot of people are not on stream right now watching live just because it's like probably sleep time for most people. But for those that are still up watching the stream, you guys can always rewatch it later. Counter trend trade. External trend. This is obviously bullish. Okay, I'm gonna go back to trade to show you guys real quick again what the trade was. This was a trade. Liquidity sweep. OB entry model. We are counter trend at the time. Remember, you have to keep track of at the time your entry. This is counter internal trend. Internal trend was this. This counter trend internally. Unless we broke above this high internally, then it's pro trend internally. Otherwise, it's counter. OB entry model. What's the external trend here? Obviously bullish. External trend is making higher highs. Where's my target? Past previous day high. If you want to make a column to keep track of your targets, feel free to, but I don't have that anymore. So let's go back to the journal now. This is pro trend. And because this is an A plus setup, mechanically, no break even for me. So rating wise, I'm putting A plus. Again, additional comments is I usually don't recommend you writing much here unless there's something specific you want to point out because it's pretty qualitative data. This can all be also where you actually just write down your psychology if needed to be, right? Got greedy, TP too far, whatever. Stuff like that, not sticking to your system. But that's where you also use the tilt meter. So qualitative data, I'm not a huge fan of. This is more so psychology stuff. Because we didn't go break even, we don't need to fill out either of these two columns. This is only for break even trades. The price hit 1 to 1. Obviously it did. It hit 1 to 11. Did my scalping win rate? Did I catch majority of the move? No, I did not. This column is a little iffy. Again, this is for optimization purposes to see if you spot any significant differences, but I obviously did not catch anywhere close to majority of the move here. It actually kept running like 20 plus RR, I believe. So no, if not, how much R did it run? I mean, we play it out on TradingView. It's probably hella trades, hella restore to be honest here. Yeah, it went over. It went 25 restored. Actually, more than that. Go back to the chart here. It literally went 29, 28 risk reward. So, yeah, that's not realistic for the most part to catch. I'm going to put that there, but again, not too realistic. 28 risk reward. That's why I used the median formula here, not mean. Did my entry have made a drawdown? Let's check it out. No, it did not. It barely had any drawdown. Again, how I define it, always right here, greater than 50% is made a drawdown. Made a drawdown just means how much does it go into your stop loss? How precise was your entry point? And in this case, it was completely fine. Along with daily bias, boom, there you go. Yes, that's where we're bullish. That's exactly how I journal E-Trade. Now that you guys know basic general gist, I think that took about 10 minutes, okay, ish. Let's do it quicker. Now, go back to your journal, or sorry, TradingView, find the next trade. My next trade was here on November 25th. So in my journal, I'm gonna put November 25th. What session was this? This was, let's go in replay mode here again. But daily bias, again, look at my daily bias. This trade was also in line with the daily bias. So I'm just going to put that along with daily bias. Yes. What's the setup rating? For me, Stop Hunter, I don't usually have a mechanical setup rating for Stop Hunter for the most part. There's definitely some discretionary things for Stop Hunter that you can implement. But the rating is mainly for my main setup, so no ratings there. Again, if you don't understand how I took this entry, go through the course content and you'll understand why. This is a 4-hour trade here, and this is also where you don't need to mark out internal or external trend for the most part, because for the most part, Stop Hunter is always going to be pro internal trend. It's kind of flipped the way you see it, because Stop Hunter means like when we make an internal changing character, it's actually a liquidity sweep internally. So you won't be keeping track of trend in a few other columns as well for Stop Hunter. I'll show you guys real quick, but basically take a screenshot of this or get the link. So OS, now I got the link, right? So there's the link. I'm actually gonna turn off my structure indicator here real quick. All right. OS, got the link. Now that you guys know what the trade looks like, I just got alert. Gold got swept high or low from an indicator. Put in here, forward risk reward. Again, these are two columns you don't need to fill out. It's pretty it's almost always gonna be pro external trend for the most part. This case, this was actually counter. Pro external here, bullish. This is actually counter, but majority of times it will be you anticipating some sort of PY to fail. So we don't fill out these two for a Stop Hunter. Or at least I don't personally. I fill this out here. You fill out the asset session. This was London session, and this was inside kill zone. And no PY type because Stop Hunter doesn't have a PY type. Okay, it's not like, don't put liquidity sweep because then you're gonna mess up your data between the main setup and Stop Hunter. If these terms make zero sense to you, I recommend you watching my beginners trading bootcamp. That should clear up a good amount of things. And then go through the course content. If you still need help, you can get the mentorship. I'll be glad to help you with improving your trading strategy and system. Did price hit 1-to-1? Yes, it did. Did I catch majority of the move? Let's see. No, I did not. It ran 13 risk reward. Okay, I just checked. 13 risk reward. So if you don't want to if you find some columns not helpful for you, remove them. Like how I remove the buy and sell, it just doesn't help in terms of trading. Now this is how like your journal should help you in terms of optimization. Ultimately, the goal of your journal here is to do this. You collect data here on a lot of sample size, and then from a lot of sample size, use the filtering functionality here. If you notice that the filtering functionality is improving your or optimizing your system, that's good. You can then decide to stop collecting the data or continue collecting. Now, if you, let's say after 500 trades, you realize the filters have no beneficial change or impact your trading strategy system, get rid of the column. Like for me, I'd realize after 500-ish, or I think it was 300, 400-ish trades, buy and sell column, there's no significant win rate impact or anything. It's all depending on trend. I really realized it's kind of dumb to have that in your trading journal. Now, it's only good if you want to identify which trade is which on which screenshots, as well as also like, I think that's why most people actually include buy or sell, just to help them identify which trade is which. But I think you can easily see that, especially when you have outliers like 11 or Sword, it stands out a lot. Did my entry have made a drawdown? No, it did not. Oh, along with daily bias, yes. Set rating, no ratings for stop hunters personally. You can even have separate journals too for different strategies and systems if you find that more helpful. Okay, let's go back to TradingView now. We got that trade journal. Let's see how long that took on stream to journal. 4 minutes. Yeah, like 4 minutes. Now I'm going to speed run one and show you guys, for example, how less time journaling really takes. Okay, I mean, do the math. Calculate how long it takes you to journal one trade, and then just multiply by the number of trades you take on average a day. You'll find out it doesn't take as much time as you may think. You're not like analyzing your data every single day, by the way. You're continuously collecting this data live, and then towards the end, once you hit like a benchmark of maybe 500 trades, 300 trades, 100 trades, whatever you find statistically valid. This depends on how frequent you trade too as well. Like 100 trades is not much data if your strategy takes 1,000 a month. It is very relative. If you're swing trading, 100 trades is a lot of data, and it's very, very valuable and good enough to like optimize on. So this next trade here, Fiverr Sword. This was an IFG setup. Messed up the candle there. IFG there. Off here, I'll mark this to just for screenshot purposes off the origin. Again, let's see what the daily bias was at this point in time here. Was this bullish or bearish? Okay, so my daily bias was pointing bullish here. I think I remember this trade. This was during ADA session. Yeah. Now this is technically out of session here. This is after ADA session closes. However, because it's out of ADA session closes, or the kill zone of ADA session closes. So if we draw this, it should show, I think. Like we're outside of ADA session, but I'm gonna still journal this as an ADA session trade. Why? Because London session has not started. London session is over here. This trade was taken, the entry was taken during ADA session. It's just not during the kill zone of ADA session, but ADA session is from here all the way until London session kill zone starts. So that's how I personally identify kill zones. So this is an ADA session trade. Let's do Control S here. Boom, we got Control S. Go back to the journal. Fiverr Sword trade. This is an IFG entry model. Gold. I think this was on the 27th. Also, ideally, make sure your dates are in sequence. I think it should be fine with the formula, but try to keep them in sequence if you can. I think I might have messed up the sequence because there's some NQ trades. So what we're going to do is actually insert a row above. Actually, I don't know if that messes up stuff here. I'm not an Excel pro, so what I'm going to do here is just copy and paste. And we're gonna just delete this. Make sure you don't delete formulas. These are deletable. Just don't delete this, obviously, like, because this stuff here will change. Let's go on NQ real quick to see when the next trade was taken technically. Again, this is why you should journal as soon as after you finish your trading session, so you don't have to do this sequencing thing to make sure your trades you journal are in order. So the next trade I took was on the 25th. Okay. What was the daily bias here? It was bullish. So yeah, in this case, you can also see certain trades with counter trend, my daily bias. Do Control S. Let me get rid of this red mark actually, and then Control S. Oh, sorry, I forgot to share my TradingView screenshot back, or screen by accident. These are trades. Again, bullish daily bias. Very straightforward. So let's go here to NQ now. So that means this stuff is gonna be all moved down. So move this down all the way down here. This is also 25th here. This is inside kill zone, or sorry, this is taking, always look at the entry time point if you're determining inside or outside kill zone. This is inside kill zone. Oh, I'm too tired for this. Sorry, not inside kill zone, outside kill zone. Kill zone starts at 2 a.m. for London. So this is A session for 7RR. Again, stuff like this may seem pretty tedious, right? I don't know why the link is going over now. It's weird. AG goes below here. I think it's because of how I copied the columns over. Yeah, it was definitely because of that. Okay. Let's just delete the gold trade for now. We'll stick with NQ here, 2025. Get the link again. Again, this does seem tedious, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty fast. Again, not sure why it's... I see what's wrong here. Some of these subtotal don't, by the way, you see these numbers here, guys? Don't touch any of this. This is for calculation purposes for filtering. I'm not going to go into the logic of that. It's pretty straightforward logic, but just don't worry about it. The trade was 7RR. Again, this is a limit entry model on gold during ADA session outside of kill zone. Let's see. PY type, this was off a flip. And break-even system, I don't recall. Again, this is why like it's always better to journal as soon as after you get off the chart or done trading for a day. I'm gonna forget some of this stuff. Now, if you were to quickly ask me like what columns, you guys should, by this point, I mean, you guys get the gist of this journal here, how it works. You should, I think if you want to get rid of some columns, if you find them like kind of annoying, I think the columns that probably matter the least is going to be these two. Break-even assistant outcome, you definitely want to track this. You also definitely want to track this in case you ever want to go scalping mode. This is not too necessary. I think this is important though in the beginning stages to make sure your entries are precise enough. This is important. This is important. So yeah, I'd say these two columns you can get rid of. Because how I was seeing this column when I made it was basically, okay, if I'm not catching majority trade 46% times, I go into each trade and see how can I improve my TPs to optimize it, to improve my risk reward. Now, something I did notice later, there's a slight flaw with that, and it's that like since I'm intraday trading, if I'm catching a bottom of a weekly move or a daily candle move or a daily candle wick, I'm bound to never catch at least 75% of the move. That makes sense. So, you know what? We're gonna. The only reason why I want to keep this is because for the students. Some of you guys are really missing out a lot on your trades. You're like not maximizing your trade potential. I'm gonna keep these for now. I'll keep this for now. My 7 risk reward trade ran 20 risk reward. See what I mean now? And this wasn't even a swing trade. So no. Obviously yes. It's a winner. Did I have much drawdown? My trade. No. Along with daily bias. What was my daily bias time? It was bullish, so this was actually against daily bias. No stat rating, stop hunter. Again, you can add some discretion for that. I'm not gonna get too much into the mechanical side of the ratings for that in this free journal video. But yeah, that's the flip. Sorry, this is a flip trade. What am I saying? This is a flip trade. This is, let me look at the trade again if I remember. This is an A rating trade. No liquidity sweep, but we are following the trend. Now, you see how we have two losing trades after that? The 2 losing trades? Well, guess what? You don't need to take the same screenshot again. Use the same link. They just use the same link. This is -1, -1. I took 2 losses. Sorry, -1. And these 2 are in kill zone. So if you don't know how to copy and paste in sheets, hold control on the side, boom, you just drag it down. These are now actually London trades in session. And even if you don't optimize your trading or you don't find this helpful in improving your trading stats, it's still a good habit to practice. It helps you stay more disciplined in your trading in general. It helps you build good habits. Helps you build something consistent to follow when you're journaling. And most important of all, it helps you re-emphasize key concepts in your trading to you again. So these 2 trades I took, let's see, what were they? I think this was off a liquidity sweep. Yeah, so this was off a liquidity sweep. And this is actually an A+ setup. I remember this. This is actually an A+ setup that I took a loss on. Both were A+ losses, so I was fine with these 2 losses. Liquidity sweep. What was this? First one was OB entry model. Second one was. Both were OB entry models. Now, trend here, we've got to fill this out. This is counter external, but pro internal. Actually, this case, there's situations where trend gets a little confusing with internal swing and external swing, and just internal candle to candle structure here. If you're looking at, because we go back here, like if you're looking at structure here, no, this is all your time theory structure here, aka current structure you're following. So technically, the flip trade here is actually pro external. You're following the trend right now on the right. You should always follow the trend on the right until we hit a PY that could send us to the left trend. That makes sense, which would be this liquidity sweep. So yeah, this would be pro external. Internal is very complicated here because of how price delivered here. So there's some like nuances with this. In this case, I'm gonna say I'm leaning towards more pro. Because there's no way you can wait for a changing character here. So okay, never mind. I guess you say it's counter. And then the next two trades, this is obviously counter internal. This was at the time of my entry was also counter internal. Two counter internal but pro externals. The price hit 1-1 here. It did on the second loss. So it'd be no, and it'd be yes. No point in like answering this column. I'll see if it's a loss. I don't think it makes sense, right? Again, up to you, by the way. If you don't find joining this really helpful, this should give you key insights to how much like you're missing out on trades. If you don't find it too much helpful, delete it. I'm actually gonna make some changes real quick to the journal. I'm gonna make a backup copy of the journal. But in the meantime, I'm gonna keep the current one simplified. Because I think the main thing with students, I think most students have the risk reward down. I think it's the win rate that more students are struggling with. Not always, I've definitely seen some students' data, um, or other people's data as well, that your risk reward is low. Like 2 risk reward is low risk reward. For my system, you should be averaging around 3. But then it doesn't hurt to have columns there just in case you ever want to use them. So let's go back here. Also was able to fix, by the way, this column here. Now it's fine. Okay. Let's move on to the next trades, the journal. Next one was taken on the 25th as well here. Okay. Play out price pretty quick here, deceiving jump to the trade. So it's also on the 25th here. Two trades actually on this day. Go both daily bias bullish. This was the call. This is a trade I called out on stream live. I remember. All right, so for example, how did I journal this? This is a stop hunter setup. I can see clear as day. Since these trades are within the same day, ideally you want to take a screenshot of both trades together. Save yourself time. So I'll do something like this. Core trade recap. Yeah, okay. Those are just notes for myself. Copy clipboard. And I just realized my trading view is not showing. These are the trades, by the way, I'm putting in right now. 6 and 3. The stop hunter setup. Well, I said this is on. I don't know why I put the previous two trades as gold. It was on NQ. Okay, NQ. All on the 25th. Yeah, all on the 25th. These are within. I remember this was during New York session when I was on stream. Within kill zone, outside kill zone. New York. Trust me, like a lot of my students that go full time, some still journal to this day, and they've been going full time for quite a while. So let's keep that in mind. Both obviously hit 1-to-1. Did I catch the majority of the trade? Like this is the problem here, right? It's almost impossible to catch probably most of this trade here. Like I clearly did not here, right? Only caught almost half of it because the later ran. This trade later ran absolutely insane. So what I'm gonna do, honestly, yeah, we'll just answer it too. Why not? Screw it. No, I did not. In the 3 of sword, I did. See how this trade? I caught majority of this move here. And this is the problem with the medium risk war. Like it's just insane. It's too much. But I think I understand my system enough to the point where I don't need this. So what I'm gonna do, honestly, you'll see this on stream, guys. Here, I'm gonna delete these two columns. Whoa, why did it? Okay. Let me just delete one by one just to make sure. Alright, I do have a backup just in case if you ever want to bring those columns back, but this should save you time. Stop hunter, and then the second setup was also stop hunter. These are both stop hunter setups. So stop hunters, you don't need to fill out PY type or internal or external trend unless you really want to. For me, it doesn't make too much sense. Is there a major drawdown? Yes, there was major drawdown here. Like this is a major drawdown I'm talking about. You see how we went very close to stop loss, more than 50%? That's considered a major drawdown. This means I can find ways in the future to improve on my entry point. You know what? I'm too indecisive. Screw it. I'm bringing this back. F it. All right. Okay. Made a drawdown. This would be yes. The second trade was close to yes. Was it aligned with daily bias? This is pretty helpful. With optimizing along with daily bias, because what you can do here now is basically what's your win rate with line with daily bias? 83%. What is it without? 69%, but it's only one trade. What? Never mind. It's not 69%. I was looking at the wrong column. 100%. So there's only one trade not aligned with daily bias. We can see when the trades align with my daily bias, it's an 83% win rate so far. Anyway, let's just get rid of that column. And then setup rating, no ratings for stop runner for the most part. Go on to the next day, 25th. Again, I don't want to make this stream too long. I'm gonna end the stream soon. Okay, I'm gonna speed run each of these journals, basically here. Show you guys how fast you can get this one. For example, right now we'll get this one here. I got my picture taken. This is the trade I'm journaling right now. Put it in the 6-hour trades. Put in 6. When was this taken? It's taken during outside of New York. Actually, this would be iffy because people wouldn't consider this New York session because this is the main issue. It's kind of because of spread hour. It kind of does separate New York with Asia. As soon as after spread hour, everyone considers this Asia. So yeah, this would be considered Asia out of session. PY type. This trade is off a, let's see. Origin here. In this case, you kind of could also consider this inducement, but if you were to consider this inducement, your entry should have been here. So yeah, this was off origin, OB entry model, right? Yeah, OB entry model, origin. So sometimes there will be small nuances where it's like iffy because price is never going to deliver every time the same. Internal trend is counter. Or sorry, is this counter? Sorry, it's pro. And external trend is also pro because you're going with the overall flow of the market to the upside. And obviously, like, here's another example. Like, it's hard to catch. Like, I'm getting a lot of bottoms of the market, but I'm not holding for huge swings. This probably is why, like, I see some students of mine catching massive risk reward trades because my system probably is catching a lot of these bottom or top ticks. I just need to hold. It's the main thing. So but the only problem with holding though is just because you miss out on all this does not mean it's a bad thing for your system. Does that make sense? Because like think about it this way. Let's say this one trade. I'm thinking about it. I didn't realize this earlier, even though I realized it all the time, but I didn't think about it in terms of the journal. And This trade goes 15 restore, let's say. Sure, cool. I'm gonna label it bad in my journal because I didn't catch majority of the trade. Now the problem here is that look, I can catch a 6 restore here, and then maybe like try to find something. Maybe like let me find a setup here right now, actually, real quick. My strategy. Like another maybe like 2 restore, make that 8. This example, like it's not really something I'd take, but I'm trying to make a point here. Like I could ideally, with taking a lot of trades, catch more than this 116 risk reward trade. And I think most people will know if they're like missing out on the big move anyway in terms of trading. There's always going to give you other opportunities to enter too. Not always, but there will be times where you can get other opportunities to enter. So yeah, we're gonna delete these 2 columns. Yes. The columns I'm certain of keeping, I already kept. So the columns you obviously for sure want to keep are day, kill zone, session, pair. Did I show you guys the kill zone win rate difference? I forgot if I did. It's right here. There's a 4% difference in win rate here so far from inside and outside kill zone, which is not too significant, to be honest. This is what I mean. If you collect a ton of data, this is almost like, what is this? 500 trades, 559 trades, and you don't see much data difference. That's when you could decide, okay, I'm going to delete this column because it's not helpful anymore. That makes sense. I'm going to keep collecting this just to see further data-wise, but I do trade outside kill zone, like as you can see, right? Like more trades inside, but there's also outside kill zone trades I take. This is guaranteed for sure. These are for sure keeping. This is no brainer keeping. PY type for sure keeping. Setup type you have to. Pair session you also have to. I think to eliminate, to make journaling quicker here, honestly, you could get rid of setup rating. You're definitely keeping this. This is very important to me. For some reason, why is it not letting me filter with B plus? Or B, sorry. Or no, B plus. Yeah, why is B plus not here? That's so whack. Now this thing is weird. Hold on. I'm gonna try again. Let's see. It's not here. That's so weird. Excel glitching? Question mark? Oh, I'm dumb. It's because I don't have a B plus trade in here yet. Now it should show up. There it is. B plus. Okay, there we go. Yep. Okay, it's fine now. By the way, this percent here at the end is just comparing A and B trades. So A and A plus versus B and B plus trades. So 50% of times, 80% of times my trades are A or A plus. Let's just see what else I could potentially delete to save you guys time. I know some people complain about like too time consuming. Um, Hold on, let's see how many more trades we have here to dock. Uh, what's the next trade? Let's see, this was November 28th. Like, it's always the tedious and boring stuff that makes you money in trading. That's what you have to imagine. I don't have to do this tedious and boring stuff anymore because I've made it. But before, you do have to do this stuff. And I do remember back in the day how painful it was, but it paid off. Oh my gosh, how many more trades do I have here? This is a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not on purpose. Yeah, 6 or 7. So this is yes or no? Yeah. So this column here also helps me understand that my trades will go into, I can like cut my stop or my entry price in half, if that makes sense. And I can almost double my risk reward. So this is important if you ever want to do that. The only problem is you're going to miss out on frequency. I think the other two columns, seeing if you catch majority move, is too. I think it's probably a little too extreme actually. Now thinking about it, because like I said, if you catch a bottom, you could technically say you missed out on. Let's say like you didn't catch majority of this move. Let's say you TP here at the high for 7 instead of going for 18 risk reward. Like you would label this as a bad thing in your journal, but you don't understand the fact that this 18 risk reward is not going to outweigh net risk reward wise of you taking all these other steps in between. Because so many other trades in between here that can make you more than 18 risk reward total. So yeah, it's a good thing I deleted that. Now thinking about it, I think entry may drawdown, like I said, you can double your risk reward by implementing this. What I mean by this is like literally think about it this way. If majority times your entry does not hit major drawdown, so it doesn't go to 50% of your stop loss size. I completely forgot to share my trading view talking this whole time. Unfortunately, that's kind of dumb. This is what I mean. Like, imagine your entries do not get 50% of your stop loss size. That means you can literally double your risk reward in the future or next time for a system. You can actually put your limit order or whatever your entry is. Instead of here, you can enter here now. Oh, sorry, not enter there. I meant move your stop loss to that 50% level, because your data says more than half times it's not going to that level. So you can double your stop loss, or sorry, halving your stop loss size, but this does affect your win rate. So you want to also factor that in mind. I think I did the math at some point in time where I did actually see what the win rate like difference was, because your win rate will go down with the double risk reward. I can't remember if I still have that data, unfortunately, with me. But this is a column you can keep if you want. I might think about removing it. We'll see. Because I think I made a conclusion. Like, once you make a conclusion on your data for journaling, there's not as much point in keeping it, to be honest. Like, something like this is very good. This is a example of a very quantitative column that's very good to keep track of, along with daily bias indicator. Like, this is very straightforward, extreme mechanical. I mean, these are too, sure, but I don't think it's going to help your system optimization as much as something like taking trades in line with daily bias indicator. You can see how, like, what I mean by this is so much better than buy or sell column. Let's see how often my trades. Oh, I already have the data. What am I saying? 44% times my trades don't hit major drawdown. Or sorry, they do have major drawdown. So if I'm thinking correctly, that means my win rate would almost halfen. Divide by 2. My risk reward increases. Let me actually do the math right now real quick. Roughly. It's not gonna be precise, but roughly. Um my EV right now is 2.05. If my win rate goes down by 40%, okay, think about it this way. If 40% of my times my entry has major drawdown, meaning it hits that 50% mark of my stop loss, that is a loss if I decide to double my or reduce my stop loss by half. AKA, it should be, the math should be 65 divided by or times 0.44. If I'm not mistaken. So it's a 28% win rate. The 20% win rate, but then my risk reward doubles because my stop loss is cut in half. 3.65 times 2, 7.3. Ooh, okay, yeah. I just figured this out, and it ends up being a 1.3 EV, and also I'm not gonna ever trade a 28% win rate system personally. That's too difficult, too much drawdown. Use a Monte Carlo simulator, by the way. If you guys don't know what that is, go to Playbook here. There's a Monte Carlo simulation here, and you'll be able to see like a good number of like your max drawdown or losing streak. Like I don't think I can handle that big of a losing streak. Let me actually put it in for you guys and tell you guys the numbers I get. Let's say you take 100 trades a month, which is my average. But for you guys, most of you guys, 2 trades a day. So I'm gonna say 50. Let's do a period of 3 months. And let's say it's a profitable system, like the 7.3 risk reward. Max instead of your losses within a span of 150 trades is 10 in a row. Versus if I was trading my win rate, my max loss in a row is only 4. So it is more than double of a difference. Now, I think the difference will be even more significant when we increase these numbers to 100 trades a month. Let's use my numbers because you want to, when using Monte Carlo Simulator, you want to be putting in your numbers realistically. Not just any numbers, put in your numbers, your data points. So you can get a good, realistic expectation. So yeah, no, look at this, guys. Even with the decreased system, even with the optimization, outside of psychology reasons, like your max, I can show you guys here real quick. This is saying 100 trades, by the way, for 12 months. Your max loss is 17. I wish it showed average here instead of just max. But 17 is a lot. I might go tilt at 17 losses in a row, so not good. Most people I think will. Now let's use my number, 65%. At a 65%, my max loss is only 7. So it is half. This whole time it's basically half. Even 50%, let's say 50%, worst case scenario is 10. So you can see how definitely not worth it. Now another thing with the stop loss reduction method you could do, or entry have major drawdown column, is instead of thinking like I cut my stop loss to that 50%, like imagine this is your initial setup and now you cut it to 50% because you try your trades 56% of times it does not go in major drawdown. you can also move your entry point to that 50% level now. AKA, now your risk reward is doubled, but you will miss however many trades there is. Honestly, I think this column, yeah, I'm gonna delete it because I think a better, again, I'm gonna keep me talking about this saved for live streams because it might be a good idea in the future. If I ever run into things like needed to improve my EV to continuously compound my account, this would be important to note actually. Instead of having that column there, what I'm gonna do is you can have a system that says I'm gonna take my OB entry model, but at 50%. So for example, and that's gonna be your setup type, and you can track the win rate there and risk reward there, and I think that'd be a lot easier, honestly. For example, your stop hunter is here. You can track a new setup maybe you call it 50% stop hunter entry, or 50% stop hunter is fine. What that means is instead of entering here on the scale here, you're entering on a 50% retracement, if that makes sense, of what you used to enter on. Same with OB. So for example, instead of entering at this OB here, I'm taking 50% of where my initial entry be retracement. So I'm waiting for price to then hit this point and then enter. Now, the only con to this obviously is lower frequency because you'll miss more trades. And also break even. If you don't get filled in, price goes up and then then fills you 50%, you won't be able to break even. Granted, if you can have a rule where if it goes to your original break even point, you can invalidate this trade here. So you can also do that too, but also I don't have actually many trades even logged with the 50% drawdown. I thought I had way more with this. But that's a good idea. If you guys ever are struggling with like probability, the easiest way in terms of like strategy, I'm not talking about strategy, I'm talking about edge. I'm not talking about psychology, by the way. Psychology is a whole different story. If let's say you're someone trading your current system at like a 40% win rate at a 1 to 2, which I think is break even, close to break even. No, let's pick something worse. 30% at 2 reward. That's negative, barely negative. If you ever want to improve your system to a pause system, use the 50% retracement rule I just said. It will double your risk reward. So instead of cutting your stop loss in half, you're making your. So when you cut your stop loss in half, that's considered being more aggressive. Instead of being more aggressive with your stop loss, be more aggressive or conservative with your entry point. That makes sense. So your win rate now is going to be 30%, but at 4 restore, that brings you from negative 0.10 EV to a positive 0.50 EV, which is literally 5xing more than 5xing your EV profitability. You're going from green or red to a pretty solid EV, because it is above a 70% at 1-to-1 EV now. But keep in mind, some people have a major problem where they just don't like missing trades, and that's completely fair. That's a completely fair point, right? If it's a good setup, you don't want to miss it. Like for example, if I use the method here at 50%, I'm never gonna catch this 8 risk reward. So my net risk reward return might be less, but if your system is negative, having a less risk reward is much better than ending their month red. If that makes sense. Again, if you guys want to join the course or the mentorship, you're interested in getting profitable and seeing results, you can click the link. It should be in all my comments sections on my YouTube channel or description. I'll pin it here also. There's also a free Discord server if you guys want to join. I'm going to write this down real quick. Let me see. So I'll change the journal here real quick. Again, this 50% retracement method to optimize strategy, it really, again, only works if you're someone that doesn't mind missing trades, okay? Like, I know I'm going to miss basically half of the trades if I use this. We'll keep the column though. I think it's a good reminder for people if they ever want to test it out. Like an ideal situation is if you have, did my entry I made a drawdown, if you have yes and a big majority like this is when you can really excel in entering at 50% of your previous price point you usually would enter at. Because that means you won't miss too many trades. But if it's almost 50-50 like mine at the moment, you will miss a good amount of trades. Half of your net reward basically. Alright guys, I'm gonna end the stream here. Again, hope you guys do enjoy this, going over basically how to journal here. You guys should have learned a lot on insights of how I view my trading in terms of statistics, things that are relevant, things that are irrelevant. Again, I think all the columns I have here are very good so far. Like for example, I'll give you guys a quick example of like the rating thing. Don't know why it says this again. Oh my gosh, hold on. 6 to S. Okay, it's fixed now. Like, I can see, okay, win rate with just taking A setups is 100%, obviously right now. There's not many trades here. A plus is 33% here. B is 53%. This is just an example, basically. Again, it's not much data here. You can't go off this until you really fill all this out here for enough trades. But I think this does condense everything here to everything that's relevant. I think looking at the kill zone here and looking at my data here, I might delete this column at some point because my win rate does not change too much here. 63 and 67% could be just due to randomness. And I do notice I actually take a good amount of trades outside of kill zone. So like, this is the benefit of journal. You wouldn't know any of this. You learn a lot about yourself, how you trade in your system by having this journal. If you didn't have your journal here, you wouldn't know any of this like data here. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next stream, whenever that is, or the next YouTube video. Hope you guys did learn a lot today. See you guys next one. I'll see you guys also in the free Discord server if you're not in there already. So peace.
Create a song talking about day, trade in the freedom it provides, money, location, time, freedom, as well as mentioning essential traders, a university, since that is what I run and where I teach my students how to trade. Create a song talking about day, trade in the freedom it provides, money, location, time, freedom, as well as mentioning essential traders, university, since that is what I run and where I teach my students how to trade. Create a song talking about day, trade in the freedom it provides, money, location, time, freedom, as well as mentioning essential traders, a university, since that is what I run and where I teach my students how to trade. How to trade. Create a song talking about day trade in the freedom it provides, money, location.